all right, cool. I haven't made a video in the longest of times, and I wanted to do something a bit interesting, and I just had an idea that came in my head. So I've been on the dating scene for quite a while, and when I say dating scene, I've been using dating apps for quite a while. But there was something that really interested me, and I just came up with this idea. So one of the apps I use, actually probably the only app I use, is Hinge. And they have a concept called prompts. And what I like about the prompts is the kind of questions you can ask, or the kind of questions you can answer. And I thought, let's try and use the prompts and turn it into a conversation, hence the video. And I thought there's a bunch of prompts, and I thought I see a lot of common threads here, a lot of common ones, and I thought I quite like that one. So which prompt are we going to use? And actually, what I should have done is I should have just gone like a randomizer and just picked one. But let's talk about one. So I'm gonna go with the first one, and it was something along the lines of the best travel story. And it's funny because I was going through my old photos from my past trips. The ones that I think easily the best travel story I've had probably was when I went to Boston last year. And this was technically a work trip, but it was still easily one of my favorite trips. And that trip was actually my first ever trip going solo. And it was that trip that really opened my horizons and just really got me into doing traveling ever since then. And I think one of the coolest things of it was making the most of it, because I knew I only had one day. And actually, I wrote a blog about this too. But my name isn't, you're probably not going to find a blog, so I'm explaining it here. but so when it came to, so when I flew in, and I think it was definitely during the evening. I flew in, I believe, I would like to say, I think it was Saturday. I remember I woke up at Saturday morning, flew in, I think the flight was around 11:30, it was delayed. Flew in, that was a 6-hour flight. And I think it was like a 4-hour difference between where I'm at and the UK and Boston. Flew in, it was around evening, raining, and that's something I'm all too familiar with. Fortunately, though, I didn't get caught up in the snow period, because my colleague who went on the same work trip the month before, he experienced a ton of snow, and it was not looking great. However, so when I flew in, I was knackered, so I just had an early night's sleep. And the next day, it was a Sunday, and I knew this was technically the only day. So when I go into because technically, as I said, it was a work related trip. I knew from Monday onwards I was going to be grinding and going absolutely all in. So I think this Sunday was the only chance. I could have probably stayed in my hotel, watched some American sports, basketball, golf, and all that good stuff. Baseball, I won't forget that. But I decided to go out and actually explore a bit. Thankfully, the hotel they're very nice people. I just spoke to them just to get some ideas of how to travel there, places to recommended places to go to, and had a rough idea where I wanted to go. Because I was in Boston, I think, and when I was speaking to other colleagues, the key areas I wanted to go to was the MIT campus, Harvard campus, downtown city, so downtown. I think those are like the 3 main areas. And I remember when I traveled to get there, that in itself was an absolute challenge, because I didn't have any signal on my phone. I had no data. And so getting there was no problem, actually, because I just called an Uber, get to the station, and then caught the subway. That was absolutely fine. But I knew when I got into the Uber, I was at the back of my mind, I was thinking, okay, how am I meant to get back home? I mean, so how am I meant to get back to the hotel from the subway station? Because I didn't actually plan that far ahead. But looking back on that, I know there's at least there's always a way. I could at least call, there's buses and an Uber. But an Uber can only happen if I'm in, number one, I'm in the right area, and number two, I have signal. Two of which, sorry, when I say signal, I have data on my phone. So everything was all well and good. Went to the subway. Halfway in, I realized that there was like disruptions at one of the stations I was planning to go to. So we ended up, and I think this was going to downtown. So I went to Harvard. That was a success. I think MIT was last. So I did Harvard first. I went to downtown, but to get to downtown was in itself a challenge because even though it was technically just going to the same subway, that subway was actually closed and I couldn't get there. So the alternative was to catch a coach. And that was actually kind of a blessing because catching the coach was actually, I got to saw like really nice, like the route to get from the Harvard station. I think it was Cambridge. Don't quote me on that. It was Cambridge. And then the route to get to downtown, fantastic route, by the way. You know, I remember seeing the Google campus. I remember just seeing the buildings, and yeah, it really did feel it. I don't know what New York. I've never been to New York, but that was as close I was going to get to like the American city, closer to New York, and I thought it just gave that good vibe. Americans who are listening to this, please don't roast me for that, because I'm very familiar with London, but so I can appreciate a good city vibe. So, downtown, that was all well and good. Went back, caught the coach back. Checked out the MIT place, the MIT campus. That was also amazing. And very fortunate too, because when I said it was raining the day before, it was actually sunny. It was actually fantastic weather. Fantastic weather throughout the entire days. I was very blessed, actually. Because in that same week, there were iterations where it was raining, so I got very lucky on that. So I got to see everything. It was coming around to the evening, and I knew I had to get back home. Home as in hotel. Had to get back to the hotel, get an early night's sleep, and get ready to go into the office in Boston. Then came the challenge. So when I went to the subway, I was trying to find a way to try and get an Uber. So my first inkling was when I got off the coach, I was trying to find a place which has signal, or try and find a place that has free Wi-Fi, and then try and book an Uber through that way. Every place I tried connecting to, I either got poor signal or I had to enter a password, so you had to pay for it, which is, fair enough. I tried my luck. I tried Starbucks, I tried all those places, and unfortunately couldn't find anywhere. So I got on the subway. I went back to the very last station, which was where I was left off when I left off by the Uber to get from the hotel to the station. That was that station. But I didn't know if there's going to be any taxis there, if there's going to be any Ubers. But what was so interesting was when I got there, I did see a bit of signal, and I saw on the Wi-Fi, I had free access to the Wi-Fi. But what was so funny was that I had it for such a limited range. So as soon as I entered out, I didn't have signal. I didn't have Wi-Fi access. I kid you not, it was in a small area, a small corner in the station where I had access. If I moved further beyond that, I would have lost the connection. So what I ended up doing was, and mind you, I had around 20% of battery. So if I had like a 50% of battery, I wouldn't have been panicking or worried, because I could easily just find a route to get home, whether that's through Uber or whether that's through, a bus or whatever. At least I know how to get home roughly. But I really heavily relied on Uber, and I thought, okay, let's just give it a bash. I waited for like 5 to 10 minutes. And what ended up happening was I found someone. It took them 5 minutes to get to the destination, but because where I was at, there's no drive-through, and it was mostly a path. So if I wanted to get to the place, I would actually have to walk like 3 to 4 minutes across just to go to the parking area where I'll see the Uber driver. So as soon as I saw he was there, I looked on my phone, had a rough idea, and then I just asked bypassers. I just asked them, I just asked the staff, hey, do you know which direction this is? They told me, and I just sprinted my ass. I actually went up went the wrong way. Like I went up and I thought, oh, sugar, I couldn't see it. Then I ran back and I took the other path. My mind was focused on thinking, I gotta make this. Then I saw the car, and then I was like, yes. And I was so lucky. And when I asked him, I just double checked. I'm thinking, you're taking me to the hotel, right? I imagine if I went to the wrong hotel, I'm gonna look like a right mug. But he said all is good, and sat back, relaxed, and all in one day. I am so happy I got to experience that. And mind you, Americans are actually really nice people, very, very friendly people. So shout out to them. But in that one instance, I really enjoyed the exploration. I really enjoyed seeing different parts of Boston, and it was just something nice about it. I thought I can definitely understand why Harvard and MIT, these areas look after. The buildings are amazing. The garden areas, they take real pride in just the scenery and everything. Like, it looks well kept together. I can see why the top students and lecturers, all these people who live in that area, I can see why they would. So yeah, it was easily one of my most memorable times. Even though I've done more trips since Boston, but because it was like my first ever trip by myself. And it was, even though it was for work, I still had to do it anyway. But it was still opening. I got the opportunity to explore areas in which I wanted to. I'm a big fan of walking, and I got to walk a good portion throughout that time I had in Boston. And yeah, there we go. There's the first one. And you know what? 12 minutes, 13 minutes. I'll take that. And I actually did enjoy that. So if anyone does like these kind of videos, be sure to add a comment. And yeah, I'll probably find the next hinge prompt. And I probably won't keep it. I won't make it a discussion about dating per se, but I do like their prompts. And for we know, I could probably find other prompts myself without having to rely on a dating app. But anyway, it's been your boy. I'm out. Peace.